Good morning, everybody. I'm Oliver Urzica. I'm from Prianto, Hungary, the SealPath distributor for Central Eastern Europe. Welcome, everybody, in our session. Today, we have a special guest from SealPath. We have here Sandrine Rouge from SealPath, channel manager, and she will introduce us in a special word where we can learn and see how to achieve smart protection for our sensitive data and secure the collaboration on it. Today, Sandrine will tell us and present us how SealPath as an information right manager solution can help us to protect, to control, and audit our sensitive data. We will see that how to encrypt the files which are traveling by emails in or outside of our organization. We can learn and see how to control and who has access to the data, when and with what permissions, read-only editing, and etc. And very important for special industries to see the audit part, monitoring the accesses and alerts in the organization, and seeing what happens with our document. So today, Sandrine will introduce in SealPath Word to see how to ensure the document security everywhere independently if it's outside or inside our organization. Please let us know if you have any questions during the presentation or after the presentation. We are more than happy to answer to your questions. And at the end of the presentation, I would like to share one or two use cases where we saw and we see that SealPath made great support to our customers from different industries. Sandrine, I'm giving you the stage, and let's see how SealPath is helping us protecting our data.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Prianto teams also. Thank you very much for this invitation. I will try to introduce you SealPath RM solution in the best friendly way. And objective really of this session is to show the importance of SealPath RM solution and benefits in order to combine the encryptation of the sensitive information, to give all identification, control, and information on the file protection anywhere where they are traveling and accessed by authorized person, as Olivier, you just mentioned. So thank you very much. First, what I would like to show and to insist on is why we have to insist and to invest on the security. In fact, the protection of the network of our device is every day more and more important. Why? Because we've got very sensitive data and information to protect, and because we see every day in the news different case and different situation where the company has been losing their most valuable data and the impact. So I will just show you some example there. A very public example, Tesla, for example. One of what happened is that some people had been changing their position inside the company with a very unhappy behavior, and they have been stealing terabytes of information about manufacturing process data, financial data, etc. Some other example is from Anten, a very health insurance company in the United States. In fact, here the sensitive data were all sent to a specific employee personal emails, and the impact here has been in terms of cost, but in terms also of the company reputation. One of the last case I just wanted to illustrate, Mitsubishi Electric. In fact, there were a big unnoticed intrusion during several months from attackers, malicious intent by hackers, and in fact they access the network and they touch or they access to 14 departments. So all these cases that we're seeing here are really, just 1 second, I've been really impacting, because if we add the ransomware situation and the hackers action more and more impacting on very confidential, financial, personal data inside your company in order to publish, in order to resell them. In fact, we see that the extortion for publishing data has been a very active business. So the impact here is really in terms of reputational from the company and in terms of financial impact also. In here, what we can see is that most of the breaches that occurred in the last 12 months, 39%, have been really due to internal accident. I've been myself seeing one accident in one of the company I've been working 10 years ago. 1,000 specific data has been sent to another customer, and in fact there were absolutely no way to revoke or to get an impact on this lost confidential data. So internal accident, it can occur every day, but also, and mainly speaking, external attack, malicious attack, targeting any kind of organization. It can be a financial organization, it can be a healthcare organization, whatever. Today is the data, we have to protect it. So usually we were also comparing the internal trust, the external not trusted. Now, in fact, all the perimeters had been disappearing. Why? Because we are working nearly 100% under cloud collaboration, bring your own device, and the data is flying anywhere. It means that when we're talking about identifying the data, following the itinerary or any kind of sensitive data, we really have to be prepared with a very open mind in order to think about a huge network perimeter in terms of tracking the information. So we focus usually, historically, I would say, on protecting all layers in the company. But in fact, many times we forget that the most important content is the data, and the data is flying. I really like this word of flying because this is the case. The data is living in somebody's hands in order to go over all the network. It can go to any kind of device, any kind of Dropbox, any kind of person that will be receiving this data. But our responsibility at SealPath is really to control the sensitive data in the network and in the cloud. This is a very important point. In fact, we will avoid any kind of security leaks for any kind of files being at rest, in transit, or in use. This is why here in this slide we're talking about the cloud, the remote user, the providers, the external agent, additionally to any kind of encryption tool, information protection tool, host and devices, the network, the perimeters, any kind of physical tools like badges, keys, etc. And also additionally to any kind of security policies and procedure which are in place in the company. Okay, so just as a reminder, we will avoid the security leak, for any kind of files, any files at rest, in transit, and in use. And what we will be doing, we will be giving a persistent protection, a nutshell attached to this documentation. This will travel with the file everywhere where the file is being transferred. Okay, this is why the current security measures are not enough, we estimate, and in fact we have to take into account all the perimeter protection, the encryption, the DLPs, the CASB, all the components of our perimeters in order to integrate this protection and to give this permission on any kind of file, even though remotely. What we will provide also is a complete file hacking audit, means that in any kind, I can see what's the impact of my protection, who has been accessing, if these people has been authorized or not. Okay, so we consider that there's the training of the IR team is very important in order to limit the impact of the data leak, but also obviously the extensive use of encryption of any kind of files and sensitive data. Okay, so this is very important. So regarding SealPath, the mission of SealPath, let's say it like this, is really to protect your document, to identify who has the permission and the right to access to this document, and to control them remotely. This is very important. In fact, what we will be doing here is we will apply an encryption in all kind of data in each of its states, as we mentioned before. The data is protected at rest, in transit, in use, in any kind of state where we have to follow this data. And it remains encrypted regardless of its location. This is very important. A malicious employee can leave the company with all the data inside his keys, inside his Dropbox, wherever. And in fact, I, as an administrator of SealPath, can revoke the access, and all changes are applied instantaneously. Means that this malicious person can leave the company with some confidential data, and remotely I can revoke the access to this documentation. Means that here I will prevent totally the external or the internal attackers from accessing the sensitive data at any time and at any place, I would say, where the data is found. So we will allow only relevant and authorized users to have access to this sensitive data. So what we can say is that we're giving an automatic protection to any of these files after drag and drop operation, very quick, very fast, very friendly user, in order to protect or unprotect these files. So we will be applying, just one second, we will be applying here the following process in order to protect our sensitive files. We will encrypt the data. We will allow different access policies based on the different documentation and the people who will access to this documentation, and we will allow them to have different state, I would say. For example, after defining these policies on each documentation, we will create a delegation mechanism to each person, and we will allow permission to specific users over the files and the copy of the files. Okay, means that, for example, we can have one person which will have a full control over the files, means all permission, the ability to take of the protection, he's the owner of the information, but we will also have different other features. For example, the edit, the copy paste, the print, the share features. We will go into more details later on, but different person with different accesses and permission on the different documentation. So objective is to prevent data leaks. As I mentioned before, the document can be revoked remotely at any time, even though if I have been putting a final date of access, I can revoke the document, whatever is the final load date of access to my documentation. Okay, so we provide a full audit and access to the file protected to anyone status. I can see the alert, I can export the data, the administrator can control all the user policies, the data sharing, and provide a full dashboard about the use of these files. How does it work? So we will, in the first step, we will protect any file. We will share them as we want, absolutely no limitation here. We will use your own tool, no specific agent to be installed, and we will track and control the access, the use of each documentation under each policies. In fact, as I mentioned before, the protection shell is based on circle of trust, means that there's a great collaboration and control within this circle of trust. We will elaborate what is the relationship between the documentation and each person and each department in order to organize these policies and the right and permission to be allocated to each individual, each department, each domains, etc. In fact, there's a very detailed way to organize this model in order for each authorized person to have an impact on specific files or no authorization at all. So this comes to speak about the uncontrolled use versus the controlled use. In fact, the information can travel with a control, but the access can be limited to microsegment. This is what I just explained. I can create my own schema, my own drawing of the perfect organization for some people to access the files and some other people to be denied to very specific sensitive file. This is very important. So this is what we have been mentioning, the circle of trust and its application of each documentation that we will be filtering and protecting. In terms of secure collaboration, as a global view, the protection travels with the file. This is a very important concept attached to SealPath. We will secure 100% the transfer. The anonymity is absolutely avoided. All sender is identified, and we provide an end-to-end encryption. We provide a secure sharing. Why? Because there's one permission per user applied on specific documentation. There's a full access trafficking, and at any time the ability to revoke the access. So conclusion, complete secure collaboration with the ability to edit. Any kind of collaboration level is controlled in real time and at different level of definition and details. Some example, because we can think that this protection is just only applied to IT high security information, but in fact, in everyday's aspect, we see the necessity to protect, to identify and to protect our documentation. For example, in case of human resource department, the sensitive information is all payroll, compensation, salary, taxes, etc. The scope can be totally internal in terms of HR department and the location inside the file server. But if we analyze another way, which is the management of sensitive information, in fact, in a business department, for example, we will have minutes, report, contracts, data on customer also. The scope is also internal in this case, but the location can be file server, computer, emails, mainly speaking. And we've got here a third case of collaboration about sensitive information to be protected, which is product information, data sheet, guides, process, etc. So this information usually is very sensitive because it is sent to external agent, external collaborator, above the internal use. So here the location is really more extended. File server, computer, email, collaboration app, devices, etc. Wherever we are sending this information. So SealPath will give an overall protection in order to protect and to add access control to any kind of files and documentation, a full audit process. In fact, we will monitor the improper access of non-authorized person in order to supervise and to block them also, and to check if the data is protected and more protection to be added to specific files. And general objective is really to automate and force the protection wherever it's possible on the customer side, on the user side, and extend a culture of protection within any kind of organization. In terms of management, very flexible policies, very easy to create, very quick to deploy, a full control and audit on the administrator side and on the dashboard details that we can see here. In terms of deployment and installation of SealPath, in fact, there's two options. I will add a third one, but the two more frequent options are the on-premise installation inside the customer server and environment. We've got also the cloud, the software as a service model, which is inside SealPath servers and organization. Both can be fully integrated with Active Directory. The protection client is installed in the desktop or the file server. And there's a very important mention to the state of the documentation. In fact, SealPath never keep or record or store the documentation. We are just providing, nutshell, the protection on the file. Okay, so this is an important concept to mention again. We've got a third model, which is the MSP model. We can detail it later if somebody's interested about it, but in fact, there's three options to license or to get license, SealPath license. Regarding the automation of protection, a quite interesting aspect of SealPath is its very easy way to be integrated in the company, in the customer environment. Okay, so we are integrated with classification tools, with status, with bolt-on terms, DLP. We've got some specific agreement with McAfee, Symantec, Forcepoint, with the Office 365, any kind of box, Dropbox, etc. So SealPath has different modules that help us to be fully integrated with all these different tools without any problem at all. Okay, the return on investment, the benefits seems very obvious, but in fact, the investment in order to protect personal and financial information is really can be high. This is why we have to promote a very constant reflection and thinking about the anticipation of the protection, because once the unauthorized user has extracted the information, the cost for any organization can be bankrupt, can be very high fine in terms of not complying with the RGPD rule, for example, regulation. This is an interesting and very urgent point to comply. And in terms of return on investment, obviously, the impact is on the reputation of the company and also in terms of finance cost for this company if there's some data leak action on the sensitive files. Regarding SealPath, SealPath is a Spanish company, more than 10 years experience, over 20 countries presence. Aquí there's 10 missing, sorry about it, but there's more than 20 countries, international installation base of customers. We are 100% channel oriented. We're following the tier 2 model and a very strong focus on R&D. Some of our customer, you can see here, any kind of profile of customer which need to protect their sensitive data, and some integration with, as I mentioned before, Forcepoint, McAfee, Symantec, Bitdefender, Autodesk. Thank you very much. This is a first approach and presentation of the smart protection for sensitive data and secure collaboration that SealPath can deliver on a very easy way. I would like to know if you have any question, any doubt that we can solve now or that we can prepare in order to send you in the next step during a next approach and next meeting. Thank you very much for this first part of the presentation. If there's no more question, I will just maybe let 1 or 2 seconds. If there's no question, I will go and show you a very first approach of our desktop. Just 1 second, please. Okay. Just 1 second now. Okay, you can see my screen. Now, just a little recap about SealPath Desktop, just in order to summarize. So we have been mentioning that SealPath is an IRM solution. We combine the encryption of the information with the identification control, and we provide sorry, a file protection anywhere for authorized person only. Means that SealPath will control all sensitive data and avoid security leaks at rest, in transit, in use. Means that any kind of files that we will see here can have different kind of protection and can have different impact. So here what we will see is that I've got my desktop installed. I've got different document here, and I will create my own, for example, protection. If I'm here in my HR department doc, this is one policy that I've been creating, but in fact, I can create a new one. I can add it, and I can add any detail. All files from HR department to be protected this year. So this is my policy. And what I will do now on my desktop, as I'm the main administrator, I've got the full control. And as you can see, I can add some user with different access permission to the documentation. So I will add Andrew Robinson, Mark Aldrin, myself here, I've got the full control. Mark Aldrin, we will see that he will have the view edit permission, but I could have given him more protection. And I've got also Andrew Robinson, and I could put any kind of domain or any kind of group of people in order to access and to give this specific permission. In fact, what I will also allow is the set expiration date on the documentation. I will allow the offline day, access day in case my collaborators doesn't have any way to be connected to internet, and I can add watermark for PDF and image in order to get the source of the people who have been opening this information, the documentation. In fact, I can share my policy. This is a very interesting point. I can share the policy with Andrew Robinson, for example. In these features, I will delegate the possibility to change and to apply the same protection to any other people. Means that Andrew will not need to ask me any specific permission to me because I've got a full control, but he can apply to different other people. Okay. Okay, I have it validated. I'm here on my protection. As you see here, I can see all the protection that has been given, the option, and the share again. Now, what I will do, I will put this one here as the main important one, HR Department Doc, November 2022. And what I can do, I can change, and I can change the role. I can go to Andrew Robinson, and according to Andrew Robinson's right and permission, he can access or not access to this documentation. Okay, so what I can do, I can have my document here. As you see, these documents are already protected by SealPath. I see here the little icon SealPath. I can go, I can have the documentation information here. I see that Andrew doesn't have any protection to open the document, but Sandrine has them because she has the full control. In fact, I can change, and I can go again to Sandrine, switch the identity. Okay, I can go there. I can see the state of the documentation. I see that Sandrine has been protecting this file. The file is fully protected. And if I want to unprotect, I just need to drag this documentation here to unprotect. As you see, Sandrine has the full control. She has been unprotecting while Mark could not do it because it doesn't have all the permission. As you see, the document is perfectly accessible now. For me, absolutely no issue. The same for any kind of office document. Your encryption is native, no need for any kind of plugging, and there's an automatic protection which is applied after the drag and drop of the documentation in the project folder. There is a very interesting point because at any time I can protect and unprotect, but I can also add a customized protection on any kind of files. And I can, for example, for a PDF, I can just go there and see directly from this SealPath option if I can unprotect or add user if I got the permission, and I have it because I'm the full controller there. Okay, so in any kind of documentation, a very easy drag and drop operation in order to protect my documentation. I can also define some very specific folders with very specific protection. And just one moment, what I wanted to show you, what was the administration side also. So I can see here my protected documentation, okay, by the different policies that we see here. I can see who has been accessing to this different documentation at any time, and I can see any kind of warning in case this person has been accessing without having the right, or if the document is still unprotected. So this is my user control panel, I would say. Now let's go to the administration side. Okay, I'm here on the administration, and in fact, sorry, I didn't see it was. Just 1 second. Okay, just want to put it. Okay, just want to put it in English. Just 1 second. Okay. Okay. I don't know why. Oh, sorry. Wanted to change the language. Okay, excuse me. Okay, we are on the administration. Here I can have all information about my statistics, about my reporting, about the documentation, the access per user, but also the protection per user and the different alert. I can see the different protection that has been applied by Andrew Robinson. I can see all state statistic about the protection, about the activity on each files and per day, okay? And I can see the full administration in terms of notification, right permission transfer, the IP to be identified and to be monitored, also the people that I can block the access so that they can't access to any documentation. The full audit panel means the log of the action logs realized by the administrator, and the super administrator use mode that can allow me a full control over the document which has been protected. Means that the administrator can administrate all control over the user's policy, all data sharing. He will export the data, he will see the alerts and access to the file protected to anyone at any moment. Okay, so this is the administrator side. If you have any kind of doubt, question, please go ahead. Thank you very much. Okay, I think there's no question. Olivier, do you want to conclude, please, the session if there's no question or doubt about SealPath?
Yes, thank you, Sandrine, for the great presentation, and it's really interesting to see how it looks, how to touch it, to feel it. And what I can confirm from our partners and current customers who are using this solution, it's the benefit of this technology, as you could see, it's a very he has a very holistic approach, very holistic view, and it's very easy to deploy and to use. And that's the beauty of this technology compared to other similar stuff, or let's say compared to DLP solutions, because SealPath is offering much more features, much more security, and much more control over our data, not just inside our organization, but outside of our organization. And that's the difference between, let's say, if you are looking to a data loss prevention or data security solution. What I also would like to add that what we see from business perspective, there are a couple of industries where this technology is heavily required or used. I can mention example, software developer companies, architect companies, and engineering companies, where the documentation and the whole, let's say, confidential data protection is very crucial. Then this solution, SealPath, is greatly fitting and covering their needs. Also, another interesting industry what we see, and there is a high demand recently, is the banking and finance industry. When it comes to cyber attacks, that sectors are highly attacked recently, and to let's say to cover the financial assets, to have both external threats and malicious internal agents covered and solved. SealPath can come with a very heavy support to our finance and banking customers. And when it comes to be compliant with different standards like PCI DSS, GDPR, and critical data must remain encrypted or protected, SealPath is really helpful. And excluding all the vulnerable internal threats, outsider threats, that's what we see, that in financial industries where a lot of data is traveling, and customer data should be protected, reports should be confidentially used, the management executive committee documentation should be restricted to specific group. So those are, let's say, the main use cases what we see from finance and banking industry. And a very interesting industry is the healthcare, when it comes to protect and share the patient data with confidence. That's recently it's not just by GDPR but also by the HIPAA legislation and rules. It's very important for our customers, and we are positioning this in the public healthcare, and also it makes sense for the private healthcare, where let's say it's also a big question mark how our data, how our patient data are stored, used, and protected. So documented patient data, information on the results of the test, of the pharmaceutical products which are encrypted to given to us, how those are sent between the subsidiaries. So all those use cases makes the customer lives or the user lives very challenging, and SealPath can cover very easily those challenges as well. So basically, that's shortly from business perspective what we see. We as a distributor, we are working very closely with SealPath, and we have local partners, resellers, integrators who can help with consultation, with pricing, with a demo. We can help you. We can help everybody with a demo presentation, with a POC or POV. So please don't hesitate contacting us. We are more than happy to help you, and I'm quite sure that this solution can have and create a lot of benefits to all kind of users who are dealing with a lot of data or with a lot of confidential data. Thank you for all of us joining. Sandrine, I'm very grateful for the great presentation, and and we are looking forward to the next session together with you.